So, welcome everyone. I welcome you back, and we are going to see the DevOps project proposal, the DevOps project that we went through, the project management that we went through, and we will see the proposal document over here. This is for automate .NET application deployment with Azure DevOps, the pipeline projects for using Git, Azure applications, DevOps build pipeline, release pipeline, and the approval before production. So, this is the proposal that is proposed by Techpledge Consulting. It is prepared for TPCS USA. Here is the index for the proposal, that is the project summary. Then the existing software development process at TPCS, its tools that they were using. Then the proposed solutions, DevOps solutions given by Techpledge Consulting, that is their design approach, deployment approach, our proposed DevOps tool and architecture flow, the sample proposed applications for UAT phase, the deployment and build plan. The next is high-level project approach, that is from planning phase, build phase, deploy phase to stabilization phase. And last, we will see roles and responsibilities of different members. First, here is a project summary that consists of the proposed project sponsor, that is a member of TPCS. Here you see proposed project board, that is an architect, consultant, TPCS application head, development team. Then the proposed manager, Mr. Project Manager. Then there is a target, start date, completion date. The outline business case involves background and rationale, what the TPCS is, what they are going to do, what are their requirements, what is their background overall, and what they have. So after that, the objectives to be set, that is the Azure pipeline for build, test, and report the functionality to automate their software development, speed up their delivery. The new tool should not force to change their deployment core language, that is .NET. So this is their objectives to be set. The business focus is about as is development practice. Then gather the as is usage detail, understand their current business scenarios, economics, environment. Then there are different options: use cloud DevOps tool or use cloud prem DevOps setup. Then we see the benefits. Here, when we go with the different options, here is what we choose, that we recommend to use Azure Cloud DevOps tool because they wanted an seamless integration with Microsoft Azure services. So we go for Azure DevOps. We have suggested Azure services for that. Then the benefits: initial level, repeatable level, defined level, managed level, optimized level. These were the different technologies. Environments are provisioned normally, functional test automation. All these are the benefits that is coming from. Then data migration and version and performed manually. Then feedback from the database performed after each case. So this is how initial level will be. Then the repeatable level will be. Then defined level to trigger the automated tests. The managed level is like all environment is managed effectively. Optimized level, all like environment provision fully automated. So these are the benefits at each level. Then the outline cost. So here we will see what is the outline cost for that. Setting up your DevOps can save a lot of cost by reducing the man effort. Below is the example of IBM cost saving plans. So this is how the cost saving plans are being done. Waste of overproduction, waste of time and resource waiting, waste of processing themselves, overhead is reduced, poor quality is being reduced when you go for DevOps process. So these are the key deliverables. Create a fully integrated DevOps process and environment. GitHub will be a central repo for all that code. Azure pipeline will be there for automation. Build the code, commit to the GitHub. Then there will be a release pipeline for automatically deploy the build artifact to Azure App Services. Then the stakeholders, that are Techpledge DevOps Architect, DevOps Consultant, TPCS Application Head, TPCS Development Team. What are the key resources? Engineer, DBA, Architect, Project Manager, and DevOps Engineer. Now consideration. Consideration is what is their existing IT environment. They have Active Directory, VMware EXI or Hyper-V. The database is 2016, a web server. And other considerations will be the agreed migration approach and a high-level solution. So these are different considerations that you can go through. This proposal is mainly to understand the project proposal. When we propose something, what are the things that are being considered, what are the extra or the other consideration that has to be met. So when you go through this proposal, you will come to know what are the different considerations and what are the objectives that we go through. The next is existing software development process at TPCS. So we ask different questions from development and business team in order to understand their current environment. So what is your current process? Why are we doing in this way? Why are you jumping into ops operation? Then what is the production failure rate? At what time in 6 months it fails? Or what is the average lead time? What is your deployment speed, deployment frequency, mean time to recover, average mean time to production? So these are the questions that we ask to know its current business process or its business environment. So this is how the current actual working existing scenario is. So the next is the existing software development tools that they were using, which was Visual Studio, Nugget, manual testing, Excel-based reporting. And then comes what Techpledge was proposed, like what it proposed for DevOps solution they gave. So it was a code management tools, GitHub, build tools, Azure build pipeline, deployment tools, Azure release, testing tool, Azure DevOps testing, and the approval to be done. So when you compare this, both the picture, this is their current scenario, and this is the scenario when they are going to work with DevOps. There is a high amount of continuous journey that they will be providing it with the DevOps journey, that is continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment will be happening. Their business will give a high throughput after this. So this is how you can go through their design approach. So this is what I had explained you, that for design approach and deployment approach. For design approach, you have to understand the current business environment, to understand the architect and constraints. You have to gather the things, compare, you have to see what is things are provisioned, what are the actual usage, and not just the provisional things. You have to gather all the details over here, and after that develop a detailed financial model. Once your model is developed, then we go for deployment approach. So these were the phases that we went across. There were different phases to understand, to go and see the architecture, to gather your details, develop a financial model, design the DevOps, establishing naming convention, implement the core infrastructure. So that were the things. Now I take you to the proposed flow architecture, the same that we saw. Development will work with VS Code. It will code, check in into the GitHub. Then there will be a build pipeline, a release pipeline to release at different versions. From here, the artifact will be produced that will be deployed towards the release pipeline. After that, there will be different environments that they wanted, a development, UAT, pre-production. There will be a continuous delivery happening. Before production, there will be approval where continuous deployment will be happening, and overall all this management and monitoring will done with Azure Monitor, that is application insight. So this is a sample proposed application of UAT. This is how general DevOps implementation will look. So this is the app service, this is the deployed application over here. Then comes the deployment and build plan that we went through. Different 10 milestones we saw, handing from configuration of the organization in GitHub, provisioning the team, repositories and branches, configure the security and notification, then the Azure DevOps organization, configure the project within that organization, set up your Azure pipeline with GitHub, build the artifact to deploy on Azure App Service, configure the release pipeline to release the build pipeline with different stages, that different environments, that UAT, then quality assurance and production, deploy the code to Azure App Services at different stages, and the production with approval. And after that, analyze the reports. So there will be a duration over there. There will be a start date and end date that will be required. So high level project approach is like planning will be the first 2 weeks. In the next second week, the build starts, completed by the third week, then the deployment start, stabilization comes into picture. So dedicated build, deploy, build, deploy. So this is a dedicated A, but then batch A. So these are the shared services that we see, and this is how from planning to stabilization and handovering phase is going to work. So the planning phase is initial, how the blueprint will be, architectural blueprint will be, what are the things to be done will be done in planning phase. Then the build phase will come. The team build the core infrastructure and prepares the procedures and tools required for deployment. So this is how you will prepare all the procedures. You will finalize the validation and finalization over that procedures will be done over the build core platforms, over the deployment process migration. Build platform core components will be Active Directory, GitHub organization, Azure pipeline, Azure release and approval. So there will be a build phase happening. Then there will be a deploy phase happening. So for that, you need a GitHub organization. You set up your Git repo, configure the integration with developer machine with GitHub, then check in the code in GitHub, configure the Azure DevOps organization, set up your DevOps project, configure your team, set up your Azure build pipeline with the deployment script. Then what you do is run the build, set up your CI of the build pipeline with your GitHub. So the CI/CD pipeline will be with the master branch of the GitHub, as we know. So it is set up, create the Azure App Services, configure the UAT, all the production slots will be configured, then configure the release pipeline with the build created, then integrate the release pipeline with Azure App Services at different stages. Now enable the approval production deployment. So before production, approval should be done. Release the build, monitor the progress and analyze the report. So how it is working. Then run CI/CD, change the code to run the process automatically. So then you will come to know, and then there will be a review by customer. So these are the things that is happening in deploy phase. Then comes the stabilize phase. During the stabilization phase, team focuses on solving the bugs or issues that are being performed or that are being identified. These issues will be triggered, prioritized, and resolved. Last, we are going to see that is roles and responsibilities. So there are many people or many members that come into picture. There is a program manager, project manager, team leader, deployment lead, subject matter experts. So what exactly a project manager is? Makes key project decision, assist in escalating unresolved issues to the executing steering committee, and clears the project roadblocks from a customer's perspective. So from customer's end, everything is clear, his requirements are clear. From our end, our issues are resolved. Whatever we had doubts, everything is resolved by the program manager. What project manager comes into picture? It's a primary point of contact from the team responsible. That is for managing and coordinating overall the project. He is responsible to see risk management, the project priorities, to communicate with the executing management. Then all the day-to-day activities to be managed, coordinate with the team to give the deliverables according to the project schedule. So everything has to be maintained by project manager. Technical leader will take care of all technicalities which will be happening in the deployment or development phase. So keep technical oversight and responsible for long-term technical alignment. Advises program manager on technical decisions. Advises program manager on deliverables sign-off. Primary technical point of contact for the team that is responsible for technical architecture and the code deliverables. So responsible for overall technical architecture, whatever the architecture is, first level of quality control, coordinates the technical status meeting. So he'll have technical meetings to see the progress, what is with the team, and then he will coordinate the same with program and project manager. There is a deployment lead also, responsible for end-to-end planning of DevOps process, implementation, responsible for identification of dependencies, customer contact, and then performs and lead actual deployment if needed by subject matter expert. So he is a deployment lead which is responsible for end-to-end planning of the DevOps process. Then comes the subject matter expert. This is the main important person, we can say. Here, specific component related technical expertise are needed. So there comes a subject matter expert when he has his own opinions about a specific technical execution. Then he comes into picture. Is responsible for implementation of any infrastructure and application aspects required to support the transformation within the current local environment. He is responsible for the build of target environments, responsible for implementation of migration scripts and procedures. So all the things that is related to a specific subject, we say a specific target he wants to build for, all the migration things or all the procedure scripts he has to write for that, and he supports that. He supports in the local environment. He is the support system, and on his expertise only everything will be lean. So this is about the DevOps proposal that we saw, how the proposal document is. So I hope all of you will go through this, perform the lab, and yes, then the evaluation will be done over this lab proposal. Once you go through this, you will understand what exactly is a project proposal document. So yes, thank you. And let's stop over here.